So we are here with a celebrity, a great person, Thomas Pirinen. Nice to meet you. It's an honor for us to be with you. And it's Play Modena, Play 2024. And we are here to talk about Trench Crusade, an incredible new wargame by Thomas Pirinen. And you want to name maybe some of your team members and also tell us, how's the fair going? How's the event going? Are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it so much, like I was here last year. But if anything, cause we had no problems with the floods. So there are more people. The paintings levels of everything is going even higher up. Like, it's amazing, and you see here so clearly how much people they have their ordinary lives. They're stressed. You see they come here to be happy and to enjoy themselves. And you see families. I see so many children. I'm seeing more and more women picking up games, which used to be in my youth only men. It's incredible. It's the great parties. And especially great gaming. I see so much this deep-rooted creativity. It's for me, it's inspiring. And as for my co-creators, because you're quite right, I should mention is Mike from China, who was the concept artist, for example, for Diablo. It's does Magic the Gathering, Path of Exile. Is the creator of the original setting and our artist, and James Brace, who is responsible for our miniatures. Of course, we have other people sculpting, but he's the third creator of the game. So those are the people. But yeah, I hope they invite me back next year too.
We hope that too. And now, okay, you spoke about enjoyment, families and stuff like that, but we need to go a little bit in a darker place, in a trench, okay, something dirty. So can you tell us a bit more about Trench Crusade?
Okay, so setting in a couple of words. It is the end of the First Crusade, and the knights who conquered Jerusalem, they find a holy artifact. Some say it's the crown of the Christ or the true cross, but whatever, they do some great heresy. A gate of hell opens in the middle of Jerusalem, the whole city is destroyed, the legions of devils pour out from the gate of hell, and the corrupt humans come to serve them. So there's been now a war for 800 years with the forces of hell pushing ever deeper. They conquered part of North Africa. They've destroyed Constantinople. They rule all Levant. And now it's year 1914, and the Saints of the Faithful and the forces of hell, they are gearing up for the Great War. So there is a short time between them. Is that in no man's land, both sides send small warbands to look for holy artifacts, for information, spy on the enemies, tackle the enemy skirmishers. And this is where the game is set. It's the eve of the Great War, and both the heroes of heaven and hell, they clash in the no man's land in small vicious skirmishes.
So, okay, that's great. Let's start from here now. So it's a great overview. We are excited because, you can see the artworks already, and they are amazing, the lore. And speaking about the lore, we already know that there are some factions. Can you tell us a bit more about the factions, and maybe if you want already give some hint about some future factions, if you want, whatever you want.
Absolutely. So the factions are divided into what I call the main factions and variants. So we've released 5 main factions thus far, 6th one is still a secret. You have the Heretic Legion, the humans who have bent their knee to hell, and they gained the unholy powers in return. So they are the foot soldiers of hell. They are the bolstered by these living machines that hell creates, artillery witches that throw bombs taken from hell, a great war beast in the shape of like gigantic wolves with the metal on them, led by heretic priests. They are one of the main factions. You have opposing them is the Principality of New Antioch, the main military force of the faithful. All the nations of Europe and the North Africa send is the faithful soldiers to serve under the Duke. Is so that the forces of hell couldn't get further into European continent. So they are trying to keep them at bay. And you have many nations fighting for New Antioch. It's the main military force of the faithful. You have the Trench Pilgrim. They are like mad religious fanatics. They are not part of the church as such, and they don't serve the armies. They are like common people with religious zeal. They taken up arms and they go to the trenches to fight, well, almost against anybody, because to them there are many different cults, and some don't even tolerate other faithful. All of them attack, of course, the forces of hell, which is you've got apart from common men, you've got the monks inside walking shrines. You got a war prophets, you got a penitents that drop bombs on themselves to grab heretics and blow themselves up. So all the good stuff. It's you got the cult of the Black Grail, because out of the other archdevils, Beelzebub doesn't want to corrupt humans. He wants to just turn everything into one big pile of the diseased mush. So it's a great disease, and anybody who's infected with it becomes the servant of Beelzebub. So you have the living human screaming aside on this creature made out of like cows, horses, humans. It's the driven by the Beelzebub's wills. It's and the human has to suffer. It's going through this. You have humans like mass murderers, serial killers, psychopaths who willingly become his servants. They become the elite, the Order of the Fly. So they become plague knights, lords of tumors. They lead the Beelzebubian war bands. It's let me see. You have one of my favorites, the Iron Sultanate. So there is a prophecy in the Quran that when the Gog and Magog, the people of the hell, come to fight against the believers, then the great iron wall of Iskander, the Al-Qaish, will appear and shield them. So when the Hell Gate opened, the great iron wall opened, manifested in the earth again, and all the Islamic countries, there was a great call by the Sultan, and all the believers traveled into behind the iron wall and closed the gate, and they formed the Iron Sultanate, which amalgamated all the Islamic nations and cultures, and they obviously are fighting to keep the heretics out, but they also send forces out to fight the hell, so they wouldn't assault the Iron Sultanate. We also they have they are served by the Hashashins, Janissaries. They have Azebs, the recruited men, and they create Takwin creatures like homunculi to act as living war machines to carry heavy artillery. It's the assault beasts that are the sort of the flank the enemies, and they are served by the alchemists of the House of Knowledge. It's who can infuse any weapons with alchemical powers, the fire, poisonous gas. It's a deadly shrapnel. So these are the main 5 factions. Each one of them has several sub-factions, so it uses the base list, but then it changes it a bit. For example, we are in Italy, so New Antioch, you can make a list to be a papal state's intervention force. So instead of it being left by a lieutenant, there will be a priest. As the Swiss Guard, you can convert your normal soldiers into Swiss Guard that are immune to fear. They get a cross from the Supreme Pontiff that will help them in the war. So this way, from each army faction list, you get several different sub-factions you can play with, because there are many nations that have interesting military traditions. And there is a 6th main faction. We are not ready to reveal that yet, but I am, for example, working on the Ethiopian variant of the New Antioch, because Ethiopia had the first church ever, Christian church. So they are a very strong member of the Faithful Alliance. And I get to explore these parts of the world that usually are not covered at all in war games or fantasy. So that's a high level of the factions.
That's amazing. So a gory setting, we have the chills, but now let's delve deeper in what's your, let's say, your daily activity. It's game designing, and what can you tell us about the mechanics? Because we know that the dice mechanics are a core part of this game, and how you add the remove dice based on. We already give a bit of an overview to the rule set. So, what would you like to tell us, and what, of course, is your best part?
So there were a couple of things I wanted to achieve with Trans Crusade. I wanted to increase player agency greatly. So instead of being locked into rigid phases or being forced to use action points, it's any action your warrior have, you can use in any order you wish, apart from there are a couple of exceptions. For some actions are risky, they can end your activation. but you should create your do I dash first, then shoot, and then charge? Do I jump, then the shoot, then jump down? It's you have a many different ways. It's the how you construct the turn yourself, because I don't the Trench Crusade doesn't lock you into an order that the things have to happen. The core mechanic, my goal was that the most games, in order to solve I'm shooting or attacking you, you need around 4 dice rolls. That's a lot, especially for a young or new player to learn. So Trench Crusade, almost anything you do will be governed by 2 rolls. One is called the action. So you pick 2 dice, you roll them, and 7 succeeds. If you happen to be very good, so you have +1 dice on your profile for shooting, you add 3rd dice, you roll, and you pick 2 highest. So if you are super good, you have 2 dice, you roll 4, and so on. If you roll more than 7, you succeed. We go into the injury if this is an attack. Again, we roll 2d6. Now, you've already injured them, so you roll the dice. The higher the number, the greater the damage. And here is where the new bit comes from. It's if the other player is injured, there are things that let's say I roll 6 on the injury roll. They gain what is called a blood marker, which represents wounds, shell shock, psychological fear, exhaustion, the pressure from the enemy fire, basically anything that can hinder you. And then next time you want to take an action, and let's say I'm rolling 2d6, but I have a blood marker. My opponent in middle of my activation can say, I am using the blood marker on you. We remove the blood marker, we add a 3rd dice, and now you have to pick the 2 lowest, because the wound, the stress, the fear you're encountering, the enemy bullets passing by, represented by the blood marker, hinder you. And the more blood markers you got, the more you can apply on each roll. So both players are very active during on each other's turn. This also, the blood markers, of course, can be used on this injury roll that I mentioned. If you have blood markers, you again can add them. You remove the blood marker, you add it to and you try to roll. Because if you roll 9 or more, it's you take out the opponent. Now, instead of armor saves, we simply apply the amount of armor you have. There is up to 3 levels, and you reduce that from the injury roll. So if normally you take people out with 9, you have a trench shield, you need 10. You have trench shield and the armor, you need 11. And if you have heavy armor, trench shield, or specialized heavy mechanized armor, you reduce 3 and you need 12 to hit. So each level of armor makes it harder and harder to injure you. And of course, because 2d6, the curve is not even, the better your armor, the more effective it is. There are of course ways to reduce armor or cancel it, but this way, whenever you're in combat, you have 2 dice rolls. Both players can influence it, because there are also, as well as there are blood markers, there are blessing markers. So if there is a magic or a holy artifact or other special power, you might have bless markers that use exact the reverse. So I'm trying to hit let's say there is a opponent in cover in long distance. Long distance gives me 1 penalty dice. The second, the being cover gives me another. So I would have to roll 4 dice and take the 2 lowest. Very small chance of succeeding. But if I have 3 blessed dice, I can first of all cancel the 2 of the penalty dice, and I'm still left with 1 plus dice, and suddenly my chances are pretty good. So this is the core loop of the game. You need to learn 2 tables, and that's it.
And that's amazing. Also, I think it represents greatly the tearing down that the trench also represents, like a battle of slow advance and people, also it's quite psychological warfare, I imagine that's also this component in special rules of specific models and factions and stuff like that. So that's amazing. And let's say we can close this interview by trying to provide, as far as you can, of course, a little overview of the schedule for the project. So what can you tell us about the release or official rules, official purchases, of course, if possible, but whatever you can tell us, just to let our viewers know when we want our models. That's the point. Okay.
I totally get it. So we have a target date don't want to release it until we know that we are not going to have to move the Kickstarter, because you don't want to disappoint people. But I tell you this, you can count the months remaining with the fingers of one hand, so no longer than that. It's that gives you a time scale. We will release the date very soon. Of course, all the rules are available free of charge. The game is 100% miniature agnostic. You never want to use any of our models. You want a kit bash, you want to use stand-ins. We encourage it, so you can get to playing today. If you wish, there are already people running tournaments all over the world, which surprised me, because I said, guys, I haven't finished the rules, but they already started playing. That's great. And all the rules are in development. Whenever I have a new version, it will be made available for free. We plan to have both digital rule book and physical one, and same thing for a book about lore and art, because of course Mike Francina is a very, very famous artist, and some people, maybe they are not into miniatures or games, that's great, but they love the setting, they love the art, they love the lore, so we will have book for them as well.
That's great. Also, we can already say that there's already a pretty huge Facebook group where you release pretty constantly also updates, new PDFs, updated rules, the lore and stuff like that. Also, they are different for different countries, so Italy already has one. And so we invite you to join those groups. We invite you to check trenchcrusade.com, if I'm correct. And thank you very much for this interview. It was amazing. We are looking forward to try the game if you are available. So thank you very much for watching, and check out Trench Crusade in 5 months, more or less. That's great. Bye.